right here.
All right, don't worry about me. How's it going?
No introduction, Governor Parnell. So thank you for being here. Thanks for continuing the Rotary tradition, particularly the service above self element. And administration's been focused on jobs and families. It's on growing our economy, creating opportunities for our people. That's who I am. So when I think about the economy, I think about resource development, I think about oil, gas line, timber, mining, fishing, tourism. What can we do to encourage investment in natural resources in this state? I work to encourage investment by asking the companies that make investments here, whether mining, timber, oil, how best to do that, and then work to do it. So the tourism industry was thinking that this summer was going to be a bust, given a few items. And I said, well, what can help us turn that around? I was told it's all about the costs. You know, lower the head tax, increase tourism marketing, because that'll increase demand for Alaska, and deal with restrictive regulations that are not based on science. It's 32 days of presenting a plan to reduce the head tax, got that passed. When it comes to gas line, let's talk about that, because this has been a huge, just a significant milestone in our state's history. It's the first time that the market has had a chance to step forward collectively in an open season and basically bid for Alaska's gas. It's been about 6 months under the timeline set forward in AGIA, which was passed to protect our interests as Alaskans in making sure that Alaskans have access to the gas, that we get reasonable tariffs in state, that we have offtakes for Alaska communities as well. We will know more across the months as those negotiations progress, but there is a competing open season called the Denali Project, which involved a Conoco and BP partnership. So that is a competing open season that you can expect the producers, and that'll close in October, early October, I believe. You can expect that the producers will potentially nominate gas in one open season and in another, and they will work to play off the terms of each against each other to develop a good project. So that's what I see happening on that front. Okay, let's talk about education for a minute. The federal government is developing what are called Common Core standards. They're national standards for education. And the Secretary of Education came to Alaska last fall, and I had a chance to speak with him about it. And I asked him what his ultimate goal was with these Common Core standards, these national standards. And he said, Governor, it's not about national standards. What I really want are international standards that our local districts would adhere to. Well, you can imagine how well that went over with me. You're not going to allow an international body, UN or otherwise, to set education standards for Alaskan kids. Instead, it's up to us to take responsibility for setting high standards and for moving our kids up. So I chose not to participate. In other words, I am not in this to be cutting off kids from opportunity. What I'm trying to do is create a place here in Alaska where 20 years from now, we will have more control of our destiny rather than the federal government having control of our destiny. They start tying our hands as a state to federal initiatives, and our money, the money that's coming back to us as taxpayers, to federal initiatives that don't make sense for Alaska. We need to be in a place where we can say, no thank you. If you look around this room, 1 out of every 4 women in this room have suffered a sexual assault in their life. If you look around a school classroom, our kids are sexually assaulted at 6 times the national average. There is no excuse for us to lead with these kinds of averages. I have put together a comprehensive campaign to prevent domestic violence and sexual assault, to hold perpetrators accountable, and to provide better victims, survivors, services, and shelter. 10 years from now, we will look back and say, we have stopped the epidemic. We are so much better off as a people because we took this step forward. If we don't have an investment climate that can count on a regulatory process to bring forward the science and to provide that forum for public input, then we will not have an investment climate here that people will bring their money to. So when it comes to Pebble, I think they ought to have a chance to go through the permitting process. I've seen that permitting process kill projects, and I've seen that permitting process let them fly. That's my view, is that I have to provide a permitting process that is fair, lawful, and adequate to protect the environment and promote responsible development. So that's where I am. Thanks. About creating economic development opportunities for companies on the revenue side to create more revenue for the state, but it's also about budget discipline and spending restraint on the opposite side. And I appreciate the fact that inflation has not hit here, since you still use happy bucks, and that was a good thing. Thank you.